All right, Wednesday night, how the 49ers locked up the Philadelphia Eagles. We're taking a look at defensive strategy for the 49ers today. We're going to look at how they plastered in coverage. Just a little preview here. You get to watch Jalen Hurts trip over himself. And Javon Kinlaw locked down one of his sacks. I know somebody who knows Javon Kinlaw, actually, mutual friend here. Shout out to Leo in LA. He actually might be in the Bay Area right now. I'm not sure. Leo's either in the Bay Area or LA. I was just texting with him, told him I'd give him a shout out. But anyway, we're going to talk about how the 49ers locked up the Eagles, the defensive strategy that was so effective for the 49ers. And I'm going to show you a few plays just to illustrate what happened in this game. This is the play that I just showed. Look at Jalen Hurts as we pause this. The 49ers, four-man rush. And the four-man rush, as we rewind, they're not rushing like chickens with their head cut off. They are taking a little steam out of the rush, and they're being disciplined. Look at Bosa working some power against Lane Johnson. Look at Armstead. Look at everybody on that line taking a little bit off so that way Jalen Hurts can't just take off and run. On this particular play, it even looks like Fred Warner in the middle of the screen is spying Jalen Hurts. So the 49ers are giving Hurts more time intentionally because they believe that they can lock down the receivers on the back end. This is man coverage on the back end. So now watch the back end. On the very bottom of the screen, I forgot that Julio Jones was on the Eagles. Very bottom of the screen, that's Julio Jones, number 80, working against Charvarius Ward. Julio Jones is plastered in coverage. He's the final read on this play. Look at Jalen Hurts pointing toward the end zone. What's he pointing to? He's pointing to Ambry Thomas blanketing a receiver. Middle of the field, you have Deommodore Lenoir blanketing a receiver. That's Jair Brown on the right side in the end zone taking out the tight end. I mean, this is just great coverage all around. Deommodore Lenoir is on Devontae Smith. So if you look at this formation right here, top of the screen is Ambry Thomas, and that made all the difference in the world. If Ambry Thomas is not able to take on A.J. Brown, then Deommodore Lenoir has to be outside, and Isaiah Oliver has to be inside against Devontae Smith. And Isaiah Oliver against Devontae Smith would have been a huge mismatch because Devontae Smith is much smaller and quicker than Oliver. So the emergence of Ambry Thomas, who's been a top 5 graded cornerback since the bye week, has allowed the 49ers to plaster the way they plaster here. Just think of the amount of trust the 49ers have. This is the red zone. They have Ambry Thomas on A.J. Brown, and that allows them to move Deommodore Lenoir against Devontae Smith. And then the shell of Julio Jones is on the bottom working against Charvarius Ward. That is not going to threaten the 49ers. Just watch that coverage. It's glue. Everybody is glued onto their defender. So Jalen Hurts has nowhere to throw, and then he trips over himself, and the disciplined pass rush is in there to make the sack. We can watch it now from the end zone angle. Again, disciplined pass rush. They're not rushing like chickens with their head cut off. Armstead's absorbing a double team. Bosa is making sure that Hurts doesn't have that B gap to run through. Kinlaw's taken up a blocker. Chase Young has taken up a blocker. This is reliant on the coverage, and the coverage is doing a great job. And then Kinlaw sees his opportunity because the guy blocking him falls down, and so does Jalen Hurts. Kinlaw is going to finish with the sack. Well done from the 49ers. All right, another example. This is zone for the 49ers. Hurts flushed out of the pocket, throws it away. I'm going to pause this again to the point of snap so we could see exactly what happened. So we saw kind of a plaster man for the 49ers on the first example. This second example, this is zone coverage. It's another four-man rush. You're going to have Charvarius Ward at the bottom of the screen. It looks like he's working against A.J. Brown. Ambry Thomas again in the game, so the 49ers in a nickel package. This situation looks like it was... I forgot when in the game this was, but you do have Thomas and you have Deommodore Lenoir lined up inside. What do the Eagles try to run? Well, the 49ers run a disciplined pass rush. That's Randy Gregory. Again, they close off an interior run from Jalen Hurts. They make him roll out. That's what they wanted to do. They made him roll out. When he rolls out, he only has one half of the field to throw to. The one half of the field he had to throw to was potentially A.J. Brown against Charvarius Ward. See, as soon as that pass rush is disciplined enough to make Hurts roll to his right, the entire left side of the field is off limits unless he's going to throw cross body, which would have been a bad idea. So maybe this comeback for A.J. Brown is what should work for Philadelphia, but Hurts bails on it. I mean, he might have been able to squeeze that throw in, but the 49ers got in the panic and he didn't squeeze the throw in. We'll see it here from the end zone angle, but good coverage from Charvarius Ward. But I really, really like the disciplined pass rush here. Rush is fueling coverage. So you see Randy Gregory, power move on Lane Johnson at right tackle, pushes Lane Johnson back in a disciplined fashion to Jalen Hurts, and Randy Gregory gives himself the ability to disengage. He doesn't just power rush Lane Johnson into oblivion and then take himself out of the play. He has time to spring off of Lane Johnson and make sure that Hurts is under duress as he rolls to the right. So you make Hurts roll to the right, but you also make him roll to the right while you pursue. There's Gregory pursuing, and Chase Young got around Mailata. Mailata gave up 10 pressures in this game. So Jalen Hurts says, nope, I'm going to get rid of that football. It's going to be inaccurate to A.J. Brown. Well done for the 49ers. Here's one of the highlight reel plays. This is Charvarius Ward. This is sticky plaster coverage at PBU against A.J. Brown. Charvarius Ward has 15 of these in the NFL this year. That leads the entire league. This is a quick release play. 49ers pass rush, all they had to do was encircle Jalen Hurts, make sure that he does get rid of the ball quickly on this one. And here you have Charvarius Ward covering well in close quarters. Perfect technique, gets that hand out there, knocks the ball away. League leading 15 pass breakups. That was impressive stuff from Charvarius Ward. Another disciplined pass rush, making Jalen Hurts roll to his right, and he throws it out of the back of the end zone. You know, this reminds me so much of what opponents started to do to Brock Purdy last year. They wanted him to bail the pocket and roll to the left because that was his unnatural throwing side, and they felt that, you know, that they could cut off the efficiency of the 49ers offense. The 49ers had a different plan in this game, but it was a similar one. They wanted Jalen Hurts to roll to his right. So they wanted to cut off the running lanes in the middle. As you can see here, they cut it off in the middle through discipline from their defensive tackles. They occupy all the blockers. And then a sort of spy in Fred Warner. He's going to pick up the running back coming out of the backfield, but he's in position to take on Jalen Hurts in case Jalen Hurts try to take off running moving forward. When the defensive ends set a legitimate edge and Jalen Hurts started to get pressured from the blind side, his only escape hatch was to roll to the right. And if the 49ers coverage was set up to defend a roll to the right, they'd be good. You see Charvarius Ward locking down A.J. Brown. You see Jair Brown, who is covering well as well. I think Jair Brown is struggling a little bit with the tackling, but the coverage, I mean, he's on top of all his coverage assignments. That's been good. You see Ambry Thomas at the top of the screen. You see Tashawn Gibson. Everything is good. The one receiver over here on the very top of the screen that's open near the sideline, there's no way that Jalen Hurts is going to get the ball to him because Hurts is running for his life the opposite direction. So the 49ers pass rush did exactly what it had to do to eliminate more than half the field from needing to be covered. This is just fantastic execution from the 49ers pass rush against a good offensive line. Again, here's the discipline. Power move. Nick Bosa against Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson, you know, he's one of the best at anchoring in the whole game, but he doesn't anchor all that well here. Nick Bosa's almost pushed Lane Johnson into Jalen Hurts. So Hurts says, you know what? I'm going to bail the pocket because look at the other side. Chase Young is beating Jordan Mailata. So the only way that you're going to get out is by leaking to the side where your pass protection and your offensive tackle is doing a little bit better. And that was Johnson on Bosa because Mailata is getting beaten cleanly by Chase Young. So there's the rush to the right. And look at Bosa disengage. Pressure Hurts even as he runs. Make Hurts' life hell. And that's essentially a throwaway out of the back of the end zone. Good coverage from Charvarius Ward to ensure that A.J. Brown wasn't open. So the 49ers plastered the Eagles in coverage. And yeah, Philadelphia got some yardage in this game, but a lot of it was garbage yardage. They scored 12 points before this game went to garbage time. This was a number 4 offense in football. They dropped down to number 7 now after the 49ers defense was through with them. But you just look at what the 49ers did there. The coverage combinations, we saw some man, we saw some zone, we saw all of the defensive backs step for step, plastering those Eagles receivers. And that's a credit to Steve Wilks, who I think was tinkering with some stuff earlier this year. The 49ers were in man when they should have been in zone, zone when they should have been in man. They were a step off communication-wise, it looked like. They got lit up by Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow. I get it. Sideline Steve. That's the new legend, right? They moved Steve Wilks down from the booth to the field. It looks like the communication got shored up, but most importantly, it looks like the work with the young DBs is paying off. Steve Wilks is one of the most hands-on coaches in football during practice. So it makes sense that the 49ers would want him down on the field so he can continue that hands-on instruction. You could see how much the players trust him now. Dre Greenlaw, when he was livid over the ejection, right, with the whole the security guard incident, it was Steve Wilks that was out there trying to calm him down, hearing him out, talking to him. Anyway, that same kind of communication that's happening back and forth with the young DBs like Ambry Thomas, who's playing his best football, Jair Brown, who's covering really well but can still improve his tackling angles. Deshaun Gibson, the safety, seems to be responding really well to all of this stuff. And of course, Charvarius Ward is leading the league with 15 PBUs. You saw Deommodore Lenoir on top of Ambry Thomas. I mean, Thomas has got the coverage grade. Lenoir had the decleating hit of DeAndre Swift to seal this win for the 49ers. So it's just awesome, awesome stuff from the 49ers in coverage. And this should have big ramifications moving forward because this had long been a pass rush fueling the coverage type of team. But in this game, we saw the coverage fuel the rush as much as the rush fueled the coverage. And we said that the 49ers might have a cornerback deficiency at the start of the year. Hell, we were saying that at the trade deadline. But Ambry Thomas's emergence has helped solve that cornerback deficiency. They now have the change of direction and the quickness that they need at that slot position to where they can plaster you. They can man up on the back end and allow the defensive line to rush in a more disciplined fashion instead of just chickens with their head cut off. And that is what is allowing the 49ers to contain these mobile quarterbacks. They choked off Jalen Hurts' ability to run. They made him play either from the pocket or scrambling away from the pocket. And because the coverage was so good on the back end, the 49ers, I think, entrenched themselves as an elite defense here in 2023. They're climbing back up those rankings. And hey, some of these same principles are probably going to be used against the Baltimore Ravens, maybe even the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be different from opponent to opponent. Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson have different strengths and weaknesses than Jalen Hurts. But obviously, all of those guys can pick up yardage with their legs. That's what they're known for in the NFL, right? They're known for being dual threat kind of quarterbacks. So the 49ers want to make sure that they have a defense that accounts for that. And the type of balanced, disciplined effort, unselfish effort that the 49ers showed in this game can go a long, long way for them as far as pushing toward being elite, even through the playoffs, on the way to the Super Bowl. I wrote about all of this on The Athletic, and I'm going to share it with you right now. So you can go ahead and check it out. I'll toss it into the description because, you know, Nick Bosa, he really marveled at the selflessness that it took from the defense to be able to execute this type of game plan. And, you know, the 49ers are a team first team offensively. It looks like they're a team first team defensively. It looks like they've all bought in. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Again, shout out to Leo down in LA or in the Bay. We'll see if in a few days, Leo. Thanks for watching, to you too. And we will talk to everybody very, very soon. Make sure to check out the article in the description and also make sure to subscribe and hit that alarm bell.